Welcome everybody to Off the Cuff. I am Adam Banks. Welcome to the show. In the studio, I have Amber Turner in the Belmont studio. I'm just going to let this play in the background while I introduce the show. And you notice I got Turner right this time, Amber.
Yes, finally.
You know, because I've introduced you several different ways. I first introduced you as Amber. Then I introduced you as Amber Negay. Then I introduced you as...
you actually say that wrong. If you remember, it was Amber Dugay.
Amber Dugay.
Dugay.
And then I say you're Amber Hall, which is your maiden name. And now I finally get it right, which is Amber Hall. So I think what I'm going to do...
Which is Amber Turner.
Or Amber Turner. Which is Amber Turner. I think what I'm going to do now is just officially, on Off the Cuff, your name is going to be Amber. And that's all it's going to be. It's just going to be Amber because I'm going to mess it up again. But I came in with some Tom Petty because unfortunately he passed away. Rock and roll has lost a legend.
Yes.
I want to share our Tom Petty stories with the podcast because I think everyone who likes rock and roll, they have to like Tom Petty. So you have to have a time and place where you have listened to Tom Petty, you've saw Tom Petty in concert or something.
You've experienced
Tom Petty.
Tom Petty.
So what's yours? What is your Tom Petty experience?
You know, I actually have two, and I'll make them short so we won't eat up all of our time because I could eat up all of my time talking about Tom Petty. So first interaction I had with his music was, let's say, 90s. I had just kind of discovered MTV. I was just allowed to watch MTV. And I remember laying on my granny's couch and Last Dance with Mary Jane came on.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, Kim Basinger is the prettiest woman in the entire world. Despite the fact that I did not, blink an eye at the fact that there was a lot of, necrophilia going on, in this music video. I would later...
What song is this?
Which one?
That you're talking about?
Last Dance with Mary Jane.
Last Dance with Mary Jane.
Last Dance with Mary Jane. And, just as I got older, I always just kind of assimilated myself with that song. And this is it.
I like it. I know this song.
It's one of those songs that takes you back.
I think, too, about Tom Petty's music, even though you hear Tom Petty's name, you might not think you've heard his music, but you've heard his music.
Have.
You've heard it. You just didn't know who sung it.
Exactly. And people think, he was only famous, in 70s and 80s, but, he stayed relevant for, over 30 plus years. He's up there with Aerosmith. He's up there with, Metallica. I guess he's actually been together longer than Metallica.
I've played this song a lot on the show. I've introed the show to this song a lot.
Running Down a Dream.
And this is probably one of his most famous songs right here. This song right here.
It
Free
is.
Fallin'.
I do think that American Girl is probably the famous.
Played that just a while ago.
And that was actually my second experience. I got my driver's license, and my mommy let me drive to Prestonsburg on my own. And I put my windows down, and I listened to American Girl the whole way.
Well, my first experience with Tom Petty come from the movie Home Alone when Kevin McAllister is sitting on the plane. Do you have that song on there?
I do, actually.
Yeah, he's sitting on the plane. He's listening to his talk boy. He just got on the wrong plane to go to New York. And he's got his headphones in. He's listening to Tom Petty on his talk boy, listening to the song Christmas all over again. And he puts his headphones in and he can't hear the flight attendant say, "Okay, passengers, non-stop to New York." And then this song is playing in his ear so loud that he don't know if he's going to New York.
And you know what's funny? I feel like we always revert everything in our life back to Home Alone.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of fitting.
It's full circle.
It's full circle. Home Alone was us.
Oh, great. But Tom Petty, God rest his soul. And that's just a little tribute to Tom Petty here on Off the Cuff, ladies and gentlemen. But also, just another sad death that's happened recently. Hugh Hefner, the famous inventor, creator, innovator, trailblazer of, I don't know, what would you say, the porn industry? I don't know, just magazines?
I would say he took porn, because, Larry Flint's like the Walmart of porn, whereas Hugh Hefner was kind of the Target. He made it a little more classy.
Yeah, he did.
Whereas, Larry Flint was, just a little too rough around the edge.
Exactly. He owned the magazine Playboy, and you're right, he did make it classy.
He made it classy.
He made it very classy. You had to get a a subscription to it.
Yep.
All the articles in the Playboy magazine, because I read the articles. Who didn't read the articles, right? That's why people got the magazine. But the articles, he kept it classy. I mean, it was like a man's version of
Cosmopolitan.
I mean, that's all it was. And
we do not have penises in our Cosmopolitan.
Y'all don't have penises, but you have everything but that in there.
That's true.
In the Cosmos.
That's true.
They had the centerfolds, the naked women. I mean, when I say he was an innovator, he was an innovator.
Yes, he was.
I mean, he took a bold move to put a magazine out in public and put naked women, completely nude, top to bottom, in Playboy magazine because they did show top and bottom.
But look how many people went on to have lucrative careers starting there. And one person that comes to mind is lead singer of Blondie.
Yeah.
Debbie, what is it?
I have no idea who you're talking about, but who I think of is Marilyn Monroe, who was his first centerfold girl. She is actually the person that he has chosen to be buried beside of. I don't know if you knew.
I did.
He bought the plot beside Marilyn Monroe, and I guess he did that because she kind of put his magazine to the top when she was the first woman to pose nude, or to be the first woman to be the centerfold in that magazine. And
she was already kind of established on her own. So it's like, here were two, and that was Debbie Harry, by the way. Debbie Harry from Blondie. Started her musical career after being featured in Playboy.
Well, I mean, there's several. There's Pam Anderson, who went on to be Baywatch actress,
TV.
Home Improvement. She was on there. And then there was wrestlers. Wrestlers got into it. Sable, which was the most sold magazine cover of all times, the Sable magazine. And then Chyna from wrestling, she posed nude in Playboy. There was there was some more. Help me out here. There's Kendra Wilkerson, Holly Madison,
and then we've got, let's see,
Hillary Banks from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh my goodness.
She almost did it, but Uncle Phil.
Vanessa Williams, she actually was stripped of her Miss America title because of being in this magazine.
Yeah, that was one thing too. It was even though it was still socially accepted by some, it was
not by all.
Not by all, especially people in blue collar jobs, and especially people that had to have crowns, like in Miss America. They did not like that.
Unfortunately, she was stripped of her crown.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the most negative, and she still turned that into a positive. She still went on to have a musical career, a very, very, very good acting career. She was in one of my most favorite TV shows, Desperate Housewives. So I don't think that really put the nail in her coffin.
I wonder if they're going to bury Hugh Hefner in his robe, because he always wore that thing around.
I would like to think, yes, he's probably buried in a silk robe with silk slippers.
With his little Playboy bunny tattooed on his hip.
Uh-huh.
Because that's what everybody... You remember that? When people used to take the little Playboy
in the tanning bed?
In the tanning beds, and they take the sticker and they put it on their hip, and they tan over it, and they'd have the little Playboy bunny on their stomach.
Yes,
trying to bring sex appeal to their bodies.
I am guilty of doing that.
I think every female that grew up in the 90s...
You were guilty of doing that.
Yeah, you were definitely guilty of doing that. And really, the 80s, Playboy was established when? The 70s?
Late 60s.
60s? I don't know. I have no idea. But Hugh Hefner was 90.
We'll fact check that.
Yeah, we'll get our producer to look it up for us.
Yeah, we'll fact check
But Hugh Hefner was like 90, and his wife at the time, his widow now, she's 31 to 34.
She's roughly our age.
Yeah, she's a young woman, and she said she was shocked that he died. How? He was 90. How are you shocked that he's dead?
Because he did not act like someone who was 90.
Yeah.
He was kind of like Betty White.
Yeah.
Betty White's the female version of Hugh Hefner.
Yeah.
Everybody knows she's up there in age, but when that lady dies,
it's still going to be shocking.
It's still going to be shocking. So I can understand that.
Yeah.
I can
now that you put it like that, I mean, I guess I can understand. Sometimes you forget people's age because they don't act it.
Well, and plus you've grown up with them.
Yeah.
These are people that you've known. You might not, personally know them, but you've kind of encountered them your entire life. And fact check, Playboy was started in 1953.
1953. So yeah, he's been around for over 50 years. Playboy magazine has.
Yep.
But yeah, when people that we grew up with die off or they get off television and they retire, it shocks me. I mean, even when, like I said, when people retire and get off television, Bob Barker, David Letterman, Jay Leno, all of these iconic names that we grew up with that are no longer on television, it's weird and it really slaps you in the face. It gives you a big slap of reality that we are getting older.
Unfortunately, we are.
And we really are. Now, they're setting these people to be in place until we're old. When they retire, Drew Carey is going to be at Price is Right probably until we're old and gray. Jimmy Fallon's going to host the Tonight Show until we're old and gray. So it's really strange to know that the old passes away and then here comes the new. But that's just the circle of life.
Yep.
Even in entertainment, it is the circle of life. But yeah, Hugh Hefner, Tom Petty, two sad deaths there that's happened just in a short amount of time. But it was overshadowed by a much bigger tragic event. On October 1st, 2017, America's most tragic massacre in history happened. It was a shooting in Las Vegas, yes, where a gunman opened fire from the it's not the Botany Bay. I didn't want to say that.
Mandolin Bay.
The Mandolin Bay. I did not want to.
Botany Bay.
I did not want to say the Botany Bay.
No, not the Botany Bay.
Which is a marijuana shop. But the Mandolin Bay in Las Vegas, the Strip of Las Vegas, and anyone who has been to Las Vegas, you've been, I've been, we know that when you go to the Strip, it's nothing but hotels.
It's nothing but hotels. It's nothing but people, and there's so much excitement, and my husband and I, we were just there, 3.5 weeks ago, and we were in that area.
Yeah, and I was there back in February, and I could look out my hotel at Planet Hollywood, see the Mandolin Bay, and it's really puts you. That's another thing that puts you in reality and makes it real when you've been to Vegas and you know that that's a place where everybody goes, and that really is a thing in a place where it could have happened to anybody. It was just the wrong day and moment to be there.
It was.
People were there doing the same things we were doing, going to see a show or going for a bachelor or a bachelorette party or going just for vacation or out with their guys or out with their girls.
Yep.
They were doing the same thing that we always do. We just chose a different weekend to go, and then they chose this day to go. The shooter's name was Stephen Paddock, and he was in his 50s, and he was on the 32nd floor of the Mandolin Bay Hotel, and which was a perfect elevation to shoot a bunch of people. I mean, he took an automatic weapon, I guess AK-47 and several others. He had over 20-some weapons. I don't know the accurate count on that.
I think it was actually 10. He had 10.
I've heard so much. I've heard 10, but now it's jumped up to more than 20 weapons that he's had in his room.
I looked at a couple photos that they had, and I don't remember seeing that many. Now, there could have been. Yeah. It could have just been the angle that the photo was taken at. But I know that there was a confirmed at one point in time of at least 10. So we at least know there were 10 in there.
Yeah, he took several in there. And people were asking, how did he get guns into the hotel? Well, it's simple. It's Vegas. Bags are always coming into a hotel room in Vegas because there's concerts. People bringing in their equipment. People are bringing in their clothes for weddings. And it's a place where there's always going to be a lot of garments brought in.
But he had been there for several days.
But he put the do not disturb sign on his door, and you're not going to be bothered, hotel policy, if you have that on your door. They
don't bother you.
They might have knocked on the door and said...
Nope, they will not.
I'm saying, probably not. If anything, they might have knocked on the door and then left. But they probably didn't even do that. Nope. He put it on there. And hotel policy, according to the Mandolin Bay hotel manager, says that if that's on your door, you will not be bothered.
Yep, we won't bother you.
And that's all he did. And
we're guilty of doing that. I do that all the time just because I don't want people coming into my room, not because I have, 10 some odd automatic, weapons, but because, I've got my personal stuff in there, I have, my jewelry, if I'm on vacation, I've got my electronics, I've got my prescriptions. I don't want somebody coming into my room.
Looking at all the weapons that he had, it makes me really, and be offended if you want, and I'm talking to the audience, and really, I'm talking to you too. You cannot make sense to me why a regular civilian can get access to automatic weapons such as the weapons that was used in Vegas. I'm all for bearing arms and the right to bear arms, but it just needs to be controlled. I'm for having a pistol, having a shotgun, having a weapon to hunt with. But you can't make sense to me why you need a gun that with one pull of a trigger shoots out 100 bullets. Why? That's a weapon of war, and that's where it needs to stay. I don't get it.
And we actually had this very same conversation last night at dinner with a friend, and we grew up in Eastern Kentucky. Through and through, we are Eastern Kentucky people.
Yes.
And one thing that I kind of grew up around was I grew up around guns. But guess what? I didn't shoot guns.
Right.
I didn't deal with guns. It wasn't until I had my first serious relationship with a gentleman from Winchester before I actually was exposed, to shooting a gun myself. And I was 20 by that point, so I'd spent, 17 years in, hillbilly, country where, they expect people to have all of these guns. And I wasn't exposed to it. I don't know about you.
Well, I mean, no, see, I was exposed to having a lot of guns around me because I was from Eastern Kentucky. My dad's big into guns. He still shoots his guns. And I'm all for people having guns. It's just you need to understand what I'm saying. I am against certain types of guns. And I'm not trying to have the Hitler logic of, because that's what he did in some capacity. He tried to ban certain weapons, and that's the NRA's. They're trying to say that we have the Hitler logic when we try to ban guns. That's not what I'm doing. I just say it's okay to have guns, but we need to put a control or a limit on what normal civilians like you and me can buy. If you want a pistol in your drawer to protect yourself from someone who might be coming in to cause you harm, that's fine. But no, why do you need an automatic weapon?
There's not going to be 100 people knocking down your door at the same time. You don't need a bullet to go through.
It's not an apocalypse.
It's not an apocalypse. Now, I mean, if The Walking Dead were to come to fruition, then by all means, AK-47 the shit out of your life.
Yes.
But, we have a gun in our bedroom, we have a gun in our office, and I have a gun in my car. But the state of Kentucky tells me, hey, it's cool that you have this. It's cool that you have these things to protect yourself.
Yes.
I need to protect myself, my husband, my family.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
No. I don't need to. I'm not going to go out here in my cul-de-sac and make it. What was that movie, Scarface? I'm not going to have a Scarface moment. Say hello to my little friend.
Yeah, exactly. But we really do need to put control on it. And there are so many other countries out there that have stricter gun control laws, and this doesn't happen in. And America, James Corden said it best. America does not need to be a staple of gun violence.
Well, I mean, that's kind of true for everything. I mean, if you look at us, I love being an American. I love being here. I love having the freedom that I have. I love having the access to education, good medicine. I love that, we're able to do this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We're able to have cell phones that we can connect with one another, whether it be, through telecommunications or social media, and a lot of countries don't have that. I mean, North Korea, case in point. But unfortunately, I feel like as we are progressing, we are degressing as humans.
Yes.
I remember as a child, I could watch TV, but my homework got done first.
Yes.
My chores got done first.
Yes.
And I find myself now at almost 30, I come home and I'll know I have 2 loads of laundry to do, but I'd rather sit down and watch TV before I do it.
No, I definitely understand. Stephen Paddock was an interesting man. It's not the perfect profile for a murderer, and when you look into him and you look into his story and his siblings, his brother, his mother, when you look at his story, he doesn't fit the profile of someone who would do this. Now, he does have a crazy father who was a bank robber and who was in trouble with the law himself. But this man, Stephen Paddock, it's a night and day from robbing a bank and killing over 60 people in gun violence and injuring over 500. It's definitely night and day. But if you want to look at Stephen Paddock as a person, he was a very wealthy man. He was a high-stakes gambler. He went to Vegas all the time. It's like something just snapped. I don't know what it was, but something just snapped into his head to make him want to go out and hurt other people for no reason.
Well, it didn't snap that day, and it didn't snap a week before that. He actually had gotten a hotel room in Chicago during Lollapalooza, which is one of the biggest music festivals that we have. We actually, my husband and I attempted to get tickets to see Lollapalooza or to go to Lollapalooza. And, they sell out in 30 seconds, and I'm not talking $100 tickets. I'm talking, $500, $600 tickets. And he had actually rented a hotel room with an obstructed view.
Wow.
And he complained. So this very well could have happened to the thousands of people who attended Lollapalooza.
And what city was this in?
Chicago,
Yeah.
which is also a city that, we've been together. I've frequented often, over the last couple of years,
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, people are going to be fearful to run under high-rise buildings now because stuff like this can happen, and you have to worry about copycats. You have to worry about people who want to be famous and get famous by copycatting a famous massacre. And this, unfortunately, will probably something that will be copycatted, will be emulated in some way. There always is school shootings. You see that all the time. I think that a shooting in a movie theater happened twice, didn't it?
It did.
Batman Begins, and what was the other one? The Amy Schumer movie?
Yeah, the one where
LeBron James was in it. She was in it. It was, it happened.
I just know that 2 females were killed during that. And I actually watched the interview that Amy Schumer actually done after the fact. And, I'm actually not an Amy Schumer fan by any means.
Right.
But to see just to see the emotion, of someone who she feels responsible for these people being dead. I mean, same with Ariana Grande, not the biggest fan, but to see, how helpless they both felt because they're the reason these people gathered. I would like to, go as far as saying that's probably how Jason Aldean feels right now. He gathered these people. I mean, not just him, but you have Big and Rich, and there were a couple other, country music stars that were there. These people came to see them.
Interesting point. Yeah, I would feel terrible knowing that the people were there to see me. Jason Aldean, he actually ran off stage when you heard the gunfire, and people, I don't blame him. I would have done the same thing.
Well, yeah.
People were giving him crap saying, oh, he should have said heads up. You got to understand, these people are human beings. These people are just like us. They have emotions like us. They have fears like us. They get scared. They probably panic. They don't know what to do. He heard gunshots. First thing you do is just run. Run away. Run away. If you had to do it over again, he probably would have said shots fired, something.
You don't process.
You don't process it.
People don't realize, the psychological effects that happen when you're in these type of situations. It's the fight or flight. And every human is built with that.
Yeah.
I mean, your first instinct is automatically going to be, I need to leave.
Yes.
I need to get out of here. And every human being is built that way.
Yes.
That is the way that we are built.
Yeah, and he ran off stage and the music shut down. I think when the entertainment stopped, I think people knew that the shots were real. People didn't think they were real. They thought they were fireworks. But when he ran off stage and the music stopped, I think they knew that something was going on.
Yep.
And have you seen the videos?
I have, unfortunately.
There's people being mowed down in these videos.
I tried to always steer clear of, videos of this nature, just in general. Just because, there's already so much negativity, in day-to-day life that I try not to bring any more onto myself than, what I already deal with. But unfortunately, I did watch some of them, and, I just think about what I would do if that were me.
Yeah.
And, I see some of these stories of, husbands laying on their wives, to protect their wives, and one lady laid on her boyfriend to protect her boyfriend. And, I just think about what would happen if, that were me or Wiley. I wouldn't want him to sacrifice himself to save me.
Well, the people, they didn't know what was going on. They didn't know that there were shots coming out of a hotel. For all they knew, it was some lunatic with a gun walking around killing people. Because one guy testified that he ran away from the bullets and went into some little cornered room with 3 young girls in there with him, and they were crying and they were shaking, scared, and he was an older gentleman, and he was just as scared as them, he said. And he says, oh no, I've just screwed myself. I've backed myself up into a corner. He said, because it's like reading a book.
Yep.
When you read a book, you imagine things that you think things are like. They didn't know what was going on, so they probably had an image of what was kind of happening. Okay, there's shots fired, somebody's walking around with a gun. He probably thought they were going to open that room and just shoot him.
Well, because what's the one thing we know about hotels, especially high-rise hotels? What's the one thing we know?
That there's going to be shots fired from it?
No, that you cannot penetrate those windows.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing. You know that those windows are hurricane-proof.
They're shatterproof. They're hurricane-proof.
And little did he know he was actually in the safest place he could be because he was in that. He was in the top of the hotel, and I don't know how they found him. If they seen flashing lights, because gunfire does show light. So they probably finally seen where it was. They busted his hotel door down with an explosive device. And he killed himself, of course, because that's what cowards always do.
Of course.
They kill themselves. But yeah, he busted the windows open, which was a hurricane-proof window.
Which, apparently, it was a very meticulous way of doing it. Mm-hmm. I don't think they've released the official report on how he actually broke this shatterproof, alarmed window, because these windows are all alarmed.
Yeah. Is there a conspiracy theory? Have you heard any that there was more than one shooter?
Oh, I'm sure that there eventually will be.
Yeah.
And I love a good conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I love a good conspiracy theory, and the internet's wonderful for it. So you check back a week later, and we will probably discuss this again with whole new different developments.
Somebody's going to be on the grassy knoll by next week.
Yeah, but I will say this, and we'll move on from this conversation. I'm truly at a loss of words on really what to say to the victims in Las Vegas and their families. And we here at Off the Cuff want to personally send out our condolences to those families and the victims of the families.
And don't forget the city. The city itself.
And yes, and the city itself.
City
Pray
itself.
for Las Vegas. It's a great place to go, be entertained, have fun, and it's so sad that something like this. I don't know what the vibe is like in Las Vegas. People say Vegas probably started right where it left off, but I can't imagine that it did. I feel like that when you're there, even with all the lights and the glamour and the energy that Vegas has, there has to still be a vibe that's there that's just so dark and so gloomy.
Yep.
So, but yeah, my heart, prayer, and prayers. How do you say that? My prayers and thoughts. Yes.
Prayers and thoughts.
My prayers and thoughts go out to the victims of Las Vegas. But anyway, Amber, Kentucky football played another great game. They beat the Missouri Tigers. Some say Missouri is the worst team in the SEC. That could be true. But regardless of the fact if they're the worst or the best, they still won the game. That puts the Cats at 5-1. Drew Lock, the quarterback at Missouri, best quarterback in the SEC in my opinion. He's fantastic. He was throwing amazing passes all night. I think that this puts the Cats in a really good position. They are now 5-1. They won their last game before they go onto their bye week next week. So that keeps the momentum going for the fans. It keeps everyone excited and energized about the program and the direction of the program, where it's going this season. 5 wins. They'll come off the bye week and they'll play down at Mississippi State. And that's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a great game. Coming off a bye week, playing Mississippi State. They beat them last year with the famous Austin McGinnis kick of the game. Man, Austin McGinnis, one of my favorite players. One of my favorite players on the roster at UK. He is such a fantastic kicker. He's going to go pro. I truly, truly believe that. I think that Austin McGinnis is going to be in the NFL. He has passed the all-time kicker record at UK. He's great. And even though that this UK team has a lot of ugly wins, they're still winning. And that's all that matters right now. We'll take it. I'll take it. How have you been?
I've been good. It was kind of a busy week.
Yeah.
Kind of a busy week.
You're still working.
Still working. Just kind of doing the day-to-day grind.
I'm growing a beard.
You are. And actually, as soon as I first seen him, I kind of let it go for a minute. But then eventually, once we made our way in and, had our conversation.
You've never seen me with one.
I have never seen you with a beard.
She's never seen me with one. She's never seen my facial hair get out, longer than a week more on my face. And this is 3 weeks. Yesterday made 3 weeks. So you have to give a beard time. You have to give a beard time. And I'm looking over here at my producer right now, who's got a full beard. And you have to, you agree, you have to give a beard time. Because some men can grow it in within 3 or 4 days, and all of a sudden it's like full, like Santa Claus.
Case in point.
And then you got somebody like me who grows a Isidore Collins beard in 3 weeks.
You're like a chia pet.
So you have to give me time. So when we do the podcast next week, and if I can still tough it out another week, then make your judgments on my beard, because that will be a 4-week.
Passed no judgment. I just hadn't. In the 25 years I've known you, I've never seen you with a beard.
And it stuns you. It stuns you. You're just
it did.
It's getting fuller. I think it's funny because people are actually noticing. Like, I've let my facial hair grow out, but never to this extent.
No, never to this extent.
And people are like, oh, wow, like you actually can grow it. I think people are shocked that I actually can grow it.
Well, at first I thought your face was dirty.
Oh, God.
I didn't know. I thought your face was dirty.
Wow. So now I look like a filthy animal. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I thought your face was dirty.
I look like a filthy animal. You had something to show me. You said you had a surprise.
I did. We always, since I've been, you've been allowing me to come on, we always talk about our relationship. And we always talk about, some of the things we've experienced together. And, we've always said one thing, that we are so happy that we have been able to maintain a friendship after all these years. Because it is very uncommon for men and women to be friends. It's very uncommon. And
it is.
Not to say we've not had our trials and tribulations of, trying to keep this friendship together.
God knows we have.
We have many Facebook fights, many mean text messages. In-person fights.
Battles, yes.
We've had some very interesting times. But, I always think about, where did we start?
Yes.
The beginning of this. The beginning of our friendship. Mm-hmm. And I could think of stories to tell all day. Mm-hmm. I really could. I could think of things that, would make both of us cry, that would make both of us laugh, that would piss either you or I, more than likely me.
Yeah.
That we could talk about. But one thing, tonight I was cleaning my office. Mm-hmm. And I was going through a Tupperware box that I had, and, pictures were flying everywhere. My Jeremy Sumter stuff was just going all over the place. And, my husband's over in the corner wishing I wouldn't go through this damn Tupperware again, because I do it every time I want to feel sentimental about something. Yeah. I'll open up this box. Yeah. And I've got so many different things in there that, it's just a variety of things.
Yes.
But there is something that I've held on to my entire adult life.
Okay.
And I don't remember if you remember this, but I wrote for the Patriot Voice.
Yes, you did. Yeah, the high school newspaper.
Yes, I was actually assistant editor-in-chief my senior year
at Knott County Central High School.
No, go KCC. Took that very seriously. It was something that I really thought I was going to pursue, when I got older. Yeah. And one of the first main articles that Miss Brenda McPeaks let me do, she gave me free rein and told me I could do whatever I wanted to do.
I think I know what you're talking about.
I could do whatever I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I wrote an article about Adam.
She did. Please tell me you have that article with you.
I have my first copy.
Oh my gosh. I was not expecting that. Guys, I have to explain this on the air, what this is. Okay, like she said, this is an article that she wrote in our high school newspaper. Do you mind if I read it?
Oh my gosh, please don't read that. That's terrible.
Please, I have to read this.
You can read an excerpt.
This is from 2005?
No, 2004.
2004.
2004, 13 years ago. That piece of paper is 13 years old.
Wow, and so this article is about me. Brenda McPeaks is probably wondering why we need a student who actually does something for the high school. Maybe plays a sport, maybe does something. And I did nothing for the high school, but somehow I made that's what happens when you got friends in high places. I made the school newspaper a whole article about me. It was called "The Boy Behind the Smile." How fitting is that?
If people knew.
"The Boy Behind the Smile" by Amber R. Hall.
Not turned.
Which is now Amber R. Turner. And it says, with his full faith in God. I want to read this to see if it still stands true today.
It does. I read it and I actually cried for a few. It took me a minute to come out of my office because, not only did I find this, but I found, every yearbook that I have, even our 8th grade yearbook, where you wrote, "You are bigger than life. You're my partner in crime."
Yeah, and I'm looking at this. This is not the official
No.
version.
This was my first copy that I made. It is so rough, and if you look on the back of it, I doodled all over it.
Yeah, there's doodles all over it, and there's messages here from the teacher talking about what you need to fix. But let me read this. It says, with his full faith in God and his strive to do all he can, Junior Adam Neal Banks has shown his peers, as well as his family and his close friends, that he is not only a hardworking and brilliant young man, but also a very talented, comical, mature gentleman. I like that word, mature. That was
so not you.
Probably not out of all those words, not the word to
so
use.
Not you.
I like how she circled the word mature too, Miss Peaks. I don't know why she did that. Adam is currently a member of the Honor Choir, Beta Club, FCA, and the KCC track team, which I did for maybe 3 days. So, other than that, if you look at my clubs, you see why I didn't have many girlfriends in high school. It says, harboring many talents, Adam says he enjoys basketball, being with his friends, singing, running, playing pool, bowling, and watching movies. He stated, I love scary movies. Adam is not only a gifted individual, he is also a very intelligent person. Adam is currently taking...
That was a lie.
Yeah. Hey! Adam is currently taking APP English 3 and a variety of honor courses.
I have determined that was also a lie.
No, I took honor courses, thank you very much. He has many plans for after his high school career has ended. Adam says, and this is what I said, I plan to go to Morehead State University.
That happened.
Which is true. I want to major in communication.
And guess what? That happened.
That is true. I want to be a broadcaster.
That is true.
And look what we are doing now. I love the attention and I want to see myself on television. Hey.
That is all still very true.
That is also something that could still very much happen. But if things take a turn, I would like to be a lawyer.
Probably because your ass always be arguing.
Yeah. I should have said teacher, and this would have been perfect. I wanted to be a lawyer. I have a passion for law, Adam smiled. Adam says he loves taking French 1, probably because it was real easy.
That's what he said.
And honor choir, his favorite teacher would be Mrs. Marsha Thompson, he explained, because I love Miss Thompson. She was just so sweet, and if you always got 100% in her class. If you didn't go to her class, you got a 99. She was just great. Many people influenced Adam throughout his life,
Yeah, it should have been but.
It says, but the person who has the biggest impact on him would be his older sister, Sarah Marie Banks. Adam says that though she is not the only person in his life, she is a big part. Sarah just has that drive about her, Adam says. She is always so focused and has everything planned out. I love hanging out with her. I do any chance that I get. Adam also says that both my parents have taught me to be honest and to respect everyone, especially women. My parents' happiness has been the motivation that has kept me pushing forward in my life. Adam is very comical. We have been friends for a long time. He was one of my best friends all throughout grade school, stated grade school friend Kevin Huff. You quoted Kevin Huff.
I quoted Kevin Huff.
Wow.
Next one's going to be even better.
Here's another friend. Adam is crazy. He's been my friend since we were little, stated Justin Bates. With all Adam's accomplishments so far, he is certain that he will go far in life. Love it, Amber, and that meant so much to me. That was
back in my box.
That was so great. And just so you know, I have the final version of that article in a file.
I also have it as well.
Yes.
I think it's in my other Tupperware. Yeah. I have another Tupperware.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's in there.
I love it. I really do. I mean, I think it's brings back many, many, many memories. But I would like to thank everyone for listening to this episode. It's been great having you back, Amber. It's always good having you back to be the co-host on the show.
Love being here.
What I would like to do is end with some more Tom Petty. Choose a something producer that has not been played on the show. Choose a song. Just pick one. Pick a Tom Petty song that you like. Because everybody has a song that they like that's a Tom Petty song. Like I said, even if you don't think you've heard him, you've heard him. So let's chime out with some Tom Petty. What's our producer playing here? Oh. Okay. Don't come around here no more. I like it. Well, Amber, I want to thank you for being on the show. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Love being on Off the Cuff.
We'll see you later, everyone, in the next episode. I'm Adam Banks. We'll see you later.